All right, good evening. It is Thursday, February 15th, 2024, and you're here at precisealgorithmtrading.com. Let's dive in and look at what happened in the markets today. So, our automated trading systems, the Dow went a little bit higher, and we had 215, 5 trades, 2 losers and 3 winners. That's a good day. The Russell looks like we're tacking on some, and we had one little loser today. So all that tacking on was from the last couple days. The Nasdaq, we're pulling back a little bit again, so nothing's easy. But like I say, I think eventually we're going to get up there like we have before. So today we did 215. One loser and one winner, and the loser outpaced the winner, so no big deal. Kind of a ho hum day for this stuff, but there was some good stuff in there too. You got to take what the market gives you. So the charts themselves here, we got the S&P 500 went higher today by a half a percent, 0.58. The Dow went up by 0.91%. The Russell went up by 2.45%, and IYT went up 1.04%, and so that's the transports. The Nasdaq went up by 0.3%. So probably the biggest one there is, let's look at the Russell, because we're getting this. I don't know if we're going to break out of this pattern or if we're just going to go back down again and consolidate again. But let's look at the IWM, because that's the tradable instrument from my vantage point. We got a nice gap today. Now that gap may get filled eventually, but so be it. This thing looks like it's on fire, actually. Yeah, we could get this pullback as soon as, next week. This thing could just walk back and forth and maybe continue higher. So the trend is up, and the long-term trend's up, the short-term trend is up, and that's the name of the game. Let's look at so here's the Russell futures. I mean, really similar to the exchange traded fund, the ETF that trades with it. The Dow here, we got a big push lower the other day. I can't see that being over. So we filled that gap that we talked about up to there. We filled that gap on the S&P 500 as well, up to there. So, going into a weekend, this could end up being a lower high. Or we could get a little bit more of a push and then a pullback because people will unload before the weekend. The Nasdaq filled in its gap too. The transports are just trucking right along to the upside. Oil went up 1.8% today. That's the overnight action. But here's the USO exchange traded fund. So we're consolidating right here. If you're familiar with chart patterns, this looks like an inverted head and shoulders over here. And we should get a breakout from there that would go, let's call it 67 to 73. So that's $6. $6 from here at 73 would get us to 79 pretty easily. So that's the same Head and Shoulders right here. So we'll see if that plays out. In fact, I halfway want to draw it on here. And do that. It's just sometimes it's uncanny how the markets do this, fulfilling like those types of chart patterns. So we'll see how it plays. Gold, GLD. A little bounce off the lower Keltner channel. Nothing to get excited about yet. And that's good enough for the indexes today. So here's a little study in how a stock would work with this. I avoid stocks through earnings, generally speaking. So we got a signal here and a signal here, and our pullback, literally I can come over here to the hourly chart and pick the lowest low. I also want to go create an alert at or below. Basically, if this breaches the 30-period moving average now on the hourly chart, I want to be able to go back 2 pivots and set my stop. So I can do that actively. I can look at it at any time when after that does that, and just kind of take inventory of what's going on with really any of these positions. So if I'm traveling, which I'm doing, I can just make sure I take care of that when I do get in front of the charts. In the meantime, I've got a hard stop set. So, and that's a study in how this kind of goes. And finally, let's go over to stockcharts.com and look at the bullish percent indices. So the industrials up 4.55% today. The NYA up 3.8% today. This is what I was talking about. The market is holding up well even though we're in columns of O's. The transports actually flipped to a new column of X's today and went up 9.09%. The NASDAQ went up 2.2%. The S&P 500 went up 3.73%. The S&P 100 went up 3.28%. And the S&P or the NASDAQ 100 went up 2.9%. So, this thing is just holding up well, and maybe that's frustrating to some people, but it's working well with our positions that we have now. So that's what I got for today. I'll catch you guys over the weekend at some point with a weekend review. It'll probably be a quick one. And until next time, take care, good trading, and have a great night.